This is the Swine Before Pearls podcast with Joel and Trent.
Hey, welcome to Swine Before Pearls Pig Show. It's the show where we go over the greatest works of art ever made.
We have mugs now.
We have mugs. Huzzah! Thank you, Quinn and Emily, for my birthday present.
Shill our brand. Got a little Spotify track on it.
Yeah, it's not really for sale, but you could make your own because Quinn and Emily made one.
Could you imagine? I think this would actually be a pretty cool thing to have in your house. Just an obscure podcast mug.
Ooh, yeah. If you pay me $60, I will get you one of these mugs.
Yeah, start donating so we can make you buy more.
You have to find me in person and give me the money in an envelope.
Shill more money to us.
Okay. Well, anyway, we are starting a new episode, and we're messing with the format.
Yep.
We're being a little silly, a little goofy, if you will.
We're goofy guys.
A little strange, if you won't.
Ooh, why wouldn't I?
It's wild summer. All right. But this week, we're going for our most abstract concept yet for something that qualifies as the best work of art.
Yeah.
So this is the worst 90's band's best album. And I want to talk a bit about how we got to
Go for
this.
it.
Okay. I have it in my notes here. I took notes this week.
Lame.
Yeah. Feel bad, Joel.
It's like somebody wants to be successful in this venture.
Yep. And it's you. Okay, let's get started. So Creed was voted as the worst band of the 90's by a Rolling Stones poll.
Yeah.
And we were actually looking for the worst band of all time, but this article popped up first, so we went with it. So this isn't us necessarily. We haven't expressed our opinion, but this isn't us necessarily yet saying that Creed is the worst 90's band.
I don't have an opinion.
But there are a lot of reasons why people don't like Creed. They were
drug addicts.
They were drug addicts, mostly Scott Stapp. And they had a concert that was so bad that the fans tried to sue.
Wasn't that the Chicago concert?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And it also listed that there were some compromising photos that the lead singer Scott Stapp took with Chris Rock. And Chris Rock wasn't embarrassed about the compromising photos just in general as much as he was just embarrassed to be in any photo with Scott Stapp.
That's kind of harsh.
Yeah. So pretty rough. But then we said we're looking for the best art. So we wanted the best album by the worst band.
Worst band.
And so we went to classicrockhistory.com. We did a little typing, little searching.
Little hacking.
I actually went to Google and found this.
The first result.
And so we got Creed albums ranked. And the best Creed album is Weathered. And that's what we're talking about today.
Yep.
So it does bring out an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, the overall dynamic of the worst band, best album.
Yeah, so there's quality, but there's also maybe not quality.
I mean, like, what constitutes a bad band?
I was really going into this. I have a little bit of a theory, right?
Okay.
So I think, do you know what the uncanny valley is?
Kind of.
Okay. So when like a depiction of a human gets more and more realistic, our brains like it better.
Yeah.
Until a certain point where our brains are like, that is very realistic, but not realistic enough. And then our brains just hate it.
Yeah.
It just like goes down. We despise it. It looks ugly. It's terrifying. But then it gets better, more realistic.
Okay.
So what I think is going on with this band is the same thing can happen with art, right? So as art gets better, you can enjoy it more.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is aiming to be excellent, and it is not, but it's like, it's getting there, it starts dipping down and people hate it. That's what I think happens.
So you think like I can see that because I kind of always got the I always got the vibe from Creed that they were trying to be too introspective and like pretentious,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's exactly how I feel about it. Honestly, like, say literally anything about the band and I'll agree with it.
Yeah.
Say anything right now.
Creed is a band.
I absolutely agree. 100%. Creed
here.
is absolutely a band, or at least was. I think they might have reformed, but
They had a pretty short stint.
Yeah.
They weren't knocking along for too long, and
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
they had a pretty short stint.
they have
honestly.
almost no relevance today. Like, researching this episode, I did a lot of work finding stuff. Nobody talks about them anymore.
Well, you know what? Creed, when I think of Creed, I think of laser tag. I really do. Because I remember it was like mid 2000s. I was in some laser tag place as a kid and they're playing Creed, you know? And it's cool. It's cool that they're playing Creed, but it's not cool because it's good. It's cool because, you know, it's kind of harder music and you think it's cool. But
Well, that was because of who you are.
But you know, I feel like Creed is a lot like things in that 90s, late 90s, early 2000s era where it was very interesting for its time, very novel, but not very well remembered and short-lived. Like Bedazzled Jeans, you know, Britney Spears, no.
Britney Spears, she had some
There's just like there's not a lot of like the nostalgia for that time period. It's weird, but there's a vibe that I get listening to Creed that makes me feel like there's some dude in a leather jacket playing Halo 2 in a basement.
Yeah,
And this is what he
that's
listens
exactly
to.
what it feels like.
And like even the letters on their art and just kind of the, you know, the really washed out look of like how the album art looks, it just feels like this dude, and he doesn't smell very good, you know, and you don't really know what his thing is. You can't tell if he's cool, if he's a nerd, and he's just kind of this raging pimple-faced Halo 2 player, and
Yeah.
he's eating like Papa John's.
Very, very important though, is he's also a big part of youth group culture.
Yes.
In
yes.
all of my
Yes.
in all of my research for this, like, it didn't matter what song. When I was looking up what do people think about this song, there was always someone coming along and they were like, "Hey, I think this song is about Jesus. Jesus rocks, dude. Jesus died for your sins. He's so cool."
I could just see some dude coming up with like a soul patch and a Creed shirt and just like walking up during like a dodgeball game in a church basement, and he's like, "Guys, just like Creed said, we need to follow Christ." You know? And then he gets mad at you and you like pull on his shirt. He's like, "Dude, that's my Creed shirt. I got that at a concert."
Yeah.
You know, and then he he sees that Creed was addict, so he comes up with like his own addiction story. He's like, "I was really addicted to playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then God saved me, and that's why I'm your youth group leader, guys. It's not that hard."
Yeah, I think something else I noticed is, number one, there seems to be like a huge proponent of like Christian like rock dudes.
Yeah.
But there were also just tons of people just bashing on anybody who hates Creed. That was like they were super defensive about it.
So they've got strong support on
Yeah.
both sides of this issue.
Yeah,
You know,
there are good people on both sides of the argument.
there always is. It's a complex issue. Like many things in our society, it's a complex issue with passionate people on both sides. You
There
know,
we go. We're Creed centrists.
we're Creed centrists.
This is the Creed centrist podcast.
I do think.
Oh, Steven just let us know that Creed shirts don't exist.
I bet they do. I bet they're like bedazzled. They've got like rhinestones on them, like a big cross and like an alien being crucified or something crazy. But I feel like now more than ever is probably a good time to hop onto the Creed bandwagon as a fan.
Yeah, let's be Creed fans.
So to open up my statement, I'm a Creed fan.
Ooh, that's spicy. Love that.
I listened to this and I was like, this is my jam. I'm cool with this. I'm cool with a lot of the lore surrounding this. And mind you, this came out like all the controversy and stuff with this band and people hating on it. This was the time when people weren't liking Star Wars Episode 1. And
we can't trust those people.
It's butthurt people in 2001 who are just beginning to, beginning to understand what things are. And so I think now more than ever is a good time to be a strong Creed supporter.
There we go. We are going to be the #1 Creed fans in the world.
What do you before we get into the album?
Right.
What do you think? Are you a Creed fan now?
So here's what happened. When I first listened to this album, my thoughts were like, this is not for me. But I was listening into the car and I was like, why don't I like this? There are a lot of elements that I would normally like. What's going on? Then I was like, it's the vocals. They're not for me. So I started making fun of them, and I would do like, look at me, and like, when you are with me. And then as I made fun of it, I ended up getting it.
Yeah.
I started just like cracking up, and I think like getting that hit of dopamine made me positively associate the songs with that enjoyment, with that fun. And I was like, I love this album.
Yeah. It's great.
It's great. It's fun.
It's great. It's edgy. It's edgy when it doesn't have to be edgy.
Yeah.
It's that kid who takes himself too seriously. And there's something endearing about that. Because at the end of the day, you kind of want to just take him under your wing and help him be a little happier, and you enjoy it too at the same time. And it's like, here's the thing that kind of irks me about the hate on Creed.
All right.
From my lens, these guys were just having a tough time. Like Scott Stapp, man, like it's just sad. It's hard when you're, an alcoholic and you're in the spotlight and you're just hated and nothing's making sense, and you've got band members going to rehab, and like it's just a big mess, and you're just trying to find your place there. Like it's a tough world out there. And part of me, when I was listening to it, it's like I felt sympathy in the music, because it's like this misunderstood cry for help and like trying to do something genuine, but it's not being understood well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's really where the big like disconnect is I did a lot of research on the lyrics, and I really like some of the ideas in here. I also really don't like how some of them are executed.
Sure.
Which one is it? It's the big popular one, My Sacrifice.
Yeah.
The song, from what I can tell, is about like coming to terms with yourself almost. So he was struggling with drug usage and trying to go sober. And when he found his sober self, it was like reaching back to an old friend.
Yeah.
And that really shows in the music video where he's like lifting himself up out of the water. The problem is, even as I'm listening to the song, with that knowledge of things he directly said about the song, I still hear lyrics that I'm like, that doesn't make any sense with this interpretation.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time in this album, and it's really frustrating.
Yeah. Well, Something I was thinking about when listening to this was, what if these guys weren't making music in the 90s?
What?
What if this album, what if this band, what if this was produced in the 70s or like now, with the songwriting capabilities, how things are structured. You know what I mean? Like, would that change the result with the same sort of heartfeltness of what they were trying to do with the music and just make like think about the music in the 90s or like late 90s, early 2000s. You've got Crazy Frog, you got Blue, Dabba Dee Dabba Die, you've got music like that it's really in its own time period. And they were kind of in that. I feel like in that era, people didn't necessarily know what they were doing with music, if that makes sense.
It was a lost time.
And I'm wondering if they had just done it in a different time period, if it would have come out with the same intent and heartfeltness that they wanted to put in that music, if it came out differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something I thought about a lot when I was listening to this, is like, this would be so much better if this came out in like 2014 and had a different staff behind it.
Like different production crew.
Like different production crew, different musical knowledge of how, to make things sound a little bit better. Maybe some extra people to come in and be like, hey, like maybe write this instead of this. And you're still saying your piece, but you're, making it more coherent in songs like the one you were just talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's kind of the conclusion I started to come to. I didn't think about it in terms of like a different time, but I thought with a few more revisions to the lyrics, I think that these songs could really be going places.
Yeah.
Another one that kind of bothers me. I'm just on the hate train. Maybe you know what? Before I get on the hate train again, I'm gonna find something that I love.
Maybe you hate Creed.
Maybe I hate Creed.
Maybe I hate you.
Ooh. That's fair because I'm a Creed hater. But Lullaby at the end, it's a very sweet, heartfelt song.
Yeah.
Makes me feel good.
Yeah.
It's like you can't hate on someone writing a letter to their son and just like saying, hey, like here's my advice to you. Here's everything I've seen. Here's what I want.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. I like that. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to the hate
That's
train.
it.
That's it.
That's it. That's all the good stuff he has.
Oh, I got more good stuff. But whoa, what's that one with the chant at the beginning? It's like Olehi. Oh, it's Who's Got My Back.
Yeah.
Okay. So Who's Got My Back is supposed to be about like Scott Stapp reconnecting with his Native American heritage and just like sympathizing with their pain.
Yeah.
Do you get that?
No.
No, you don't get that vibe. What's it sound like to you?
I don't know. It sounds like a weird battle.
Yeah.
I can't really describe it.
It's just like general angst, like
yeah.
Like, oh, I have no friends, nobody cares about me, I've been betrayed. But it's kind of about how like God looked down on the way that we treated Native Americans and was not exactly thrilled.
Yeah. And that's where I think it gets a little pretentious.
Yeah.
That's kind of it's a bit of a tough topic to tackle in a Creed song.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about this one specifically is there's another 90s Christian band that I like a lot that covers the same material but way better, in my opinion.
What's that?
It's Five Iron Frenzy.
Huh.
I love them because they're a Colorado-based band and it's like very in their music. Woo, woo. When I hear my own state, my dopamine cells just...
Colorado, that is the location in which I live.
Yes. But like there's two songs they wrote about like how the United States treated Native Americans, and one is like a massacre, or like it tells the story of a massacre, and the other one is just like it talks about how people used their faith to to justify cruelty, and in both cases, it like paints a really bleak picture, and you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, like, it goes into very specific details. Where this one, unless like, without the chance in it, there's no way of knowing this is about Native Americans.
I didn't really know.
Yeah, and why would you?
It's like I had no idea that was what that song was about. So it's like that's not something at all that I picked up from it. And I bet he's like, I mean, I love Scott, but I bet he's like 5% or something.
Yeah. According to my research, his grandparents were Native American.
That makes him like, I don't know, like a cool 15, 25.
Yeah. But, all right, back on a positive note, I'm not always down with the lyrics, but Bullets is so fun.
I like Bullets. Bullets is a great song. Bullets is my favorite song.
There might be. It reminds me of like the Doom soundtrack.
Yeah.
You're just running around ripping the heads off of demons.
It's great. It's angsty. It's the right amount of angst. It doesn't have a lot of words. The words don't necessarily make a lot of sense. It's just there. It's just raw.
Yeah. 8-string guitar is a fast track to my heart.
Yeah.
I love me some 8-string guitar.
I just man, it's like a good fight. It's a good fight. It just makes you feel good. It just makes you want to go run into a wall.
Look at me. Look at me. Okay, but Steven, do you have the music video ready? Okay, Steven's pulling up the music video. This music video is life-changing.
Big fan of the Bullets music video. I think that enhanced my experience. And this I keep talking about the era of when this music was made, and that's what this music video is. It is this era. It is discovering how CGI works.
Yeah, so they hired the people who made Twisted Metal, actually, to do this.
Really?
Yeah. And apparently they like blew a ton of money at it, and the song ended up flopping. But this music video, it is something else. It's different.
It's great, dude.
When we pull it up, sorry audio only listeners, you guys will just have to suffer. But
you can look it up on YouTube if you're audio only.
I'll do some live descriptions. So there's like an eagle flying by, or is that a crow? Oh, wait.
Steven's giving you aggressive hand signals.
Okay. We gotta wait. You
wait like the dog you are.
Dang it. I was really excited. I'm just so excited to talk about this video.
It's a great video. It really just, it's like Bionicles.
It gives off big Bionicles.
It's like Bionicles.
No wonder you like this.
I was like, you know what this is? This is Bionicles. This is all great stories. It just it's got that feel. I just want to like pose with it, Just posable interlocking Lego figures.
Did you see the thumbnail I started working on for this video?
No. Does it have a Bionicle in it?
No, it's our 10-year-old selves with the LARPing swords.
Oh yeah.
And in front of this video.
I wonder where that video of ourselves ever ended up.
Which ones?
That video that we made when we were little kiddos with the swords.
Did we make a full video with it?
We made a video.
Okay, because I remember the picture and we have it on Facebook.
With it too.
All right, here it comes. Is Steven bringing it up while we wait?
We're learning how technology works.
I think they shoot because they want me. But I think, anyway, the fascinating part about this song. Oh, wait, is it coming up? Is that it? Okay, great. So we can talk about it. Yeah, so there's like a bird flying around. I don't know how I'm going to see it anymore.
Birds flying.
Maybe it's not meant to. Okay, yeah, and Scott Stapp, he's animated in CGI with a sword, and he's flying around with like these dark angel wings, and there's a demon, and they're just like giving each other eyes.
It's very symbolic, It's very Christian. It's very. I would show this in my youth group. I'd be like, so in this scenario, Scott Stapp is basically like, I don't know,
us in the Christian
struggle, walk, in the Christian walk, in the struggle against sin.
And the demons are the atheist haters.
Who are you going to be? Are you going to be an atheist hater? Or are you going to be like Scott Stapp? And are you going to be so intoxicated on stage in Chicago that people sue you?
That'd be great.
Boy, what a rough... For a rock star, that's really rough, man.
That is brutal.
Unless their main demographic was Christian people, then I don't think you want your your hero to be intoxicated on stage.
That's true.
That's not
that
the
might have
vibe.
been why they sued.
That makes a lot more sense,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking, like, if you're like a rock band, why would you sue somebody? Why would you get sued for being drunk on stage?
Yeah, the lawsuit didn't really pan out for the plaintiffs.
For the people.
For the people versus Scott Stapp.
It's so stupid that you can just do a lawsuit on anybody and it doesn't have to go anywhere, but it can be shown that you're suing somebody, and that in itself is like harmful.
Yeah,
You ever think
that's
about
true.
that?
Because, I mean, the lawsuit did further damage his reputation anyway.
Even though he didn't even have to do anything with the lawsuit, just the fact that somebody was like, I'm going to sue this guy.
Dude.
Poor Scott Stapp,
Dude,
man.
he ended up in a rough spot. Do you know what happened to him after?
Yeah, didn't he like OD on Percocet or something, or like
Probably. But, like, he was in one of those situations where other people had control of his estate and were, like, stealing his money.
that was another big 2000s thing that I
Yeah.
think people were doing, was that estate deal.
Yeah, so, like, Britney Spears, Scott Stapp on the same level.
So people were stealing his money.
Yeah, so he's like broke.
Where is he at nowadays?
I think he's kind of recovered and he's trying to do music again, and he's like kind of had like low to middling success.
Like solo artist stuff.
Yeah.
I hope he's sober.
I think he is.
That's sick. Good on you. Dude, he looks so old.
Dude, yeah,
But that's like a good thing.
yeah. You know?
He's 48.
Even Jesus has to age a little bit.
He's 48, but guess what? You know, a life of
drugs.
a life of drugs and alcohol, it takes a toll on you, you know? It really does.
Oh, you know what song I like is One Last Breath. You know, I think it starts going up past that uncanny valley a little
Yeah.
bit for me.
That's a good one.
You know.
What?
Oh,
It's
Joel's having microphone struggles today. All right. We back in business? In business? Are you sad?
I'm not sad. I just don't care about the microphone that much.
But-
Fun thing about Scott Stapp, by the way, I'm interjecting here.
Oh yeah.
He wrote a song for the Passion of the Christ.
Oh, he did.
Songs.
Scott Stapp's dad?
Scott Stapp did.
Oh, he did. Interesting. Yeah. Well, he always kind of like almost interposed himself as Jesus. He would always pose like this
Yeah, he was
in
very
everything.
Chris Angel-esque Christ figure. That was another thing in the 2000s. That was like a big thing, was like edgy dudes with long hair and tattoos were like, I'm like a modern day Jesus.
Look at you. You're on your way. You could be a modern day 90's Jesus.
No, I don't want to. No.
You gotta get on drugs. You gotta make music.
I don't think I have to do drugs.
You have to. If you wanna be
Jack says his wife looks worse. Let me check out his
Okay.
wife.
man.
Did we ever get this video on?
Yeah, it was playing.
Did people get to see it?
People got to see the video.
Okay.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Okay, if you're watching the video
Go
and you're not
watch
like
it.
you're not just like at work doing work listening to us, pull up the video right now. Just pause this video.
Or if you're at work.
Yeah. Or if you're at work, stop what you're doing at work and watch that music video in its entirety, because it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I've had a lot of good things happen to me. Like one time I found $20 in my pocket.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Way exceeds the $20 in my pocket.
Dude. Poor Scott.
Poor Scott. Rest in peace, Scott. He had a good life.
A lot.
Oh, really? Yeah, no.
Let me just double check that. Real
No,
quick.
he's probably still alive. Unless something has changed in between me researching the video.
No, I think
and
he's still. But yes, you were talking about
one last breath.
one last breath.
I feel like you can get the idea of what he's saying,
Mhm.
and there's some cute wordplay, and it's like really it's still pretentious, but it's about material that's a little more okay to be pretentious about.
Isn't all music pretentious at some point?
That's true. Isn't all art pretentious?
Yes.
Yes. like imagine you like made a podcast and it was about two dudes talking about art that's way above their head level.
I think art.
And then you called that podcast art indirectly.
I think our podcast is the epitome of pretentiousness.
Yeah, it really is.
We're so high off our own stuff.
Yeah, we had that one hater who told me that we thought we were smart, but we weren't.
I think that literally describes us, though.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever claimed to be smart.
No,
though.
the title of the show literally implies that we're dumb.
I think our title needs to be a little bit more on the nose.
Yeah. Two idiots.
Two idiots.
Please leave us alone if you
Watch
are expecting intelligent
things.
opinions.
Oh man, you got any other good takes on Credence?
Any good takes? Okay. You know what else is all right? It's right in that weird zone.
Mm-hmm.
Is Don't Stop Dancing.
Yeah.
Cuz it's like if you tell me that this is a great, incredible song that is like about overcoming hardship and leaning into the good parts of life, I'm like, yes, I am all with you 100%. I agree. If you tell me, you know what, this song's pretentious and it sucks and it pretends to say a lot more than it does and it's kind of cliche, I'm like, yeah, you're right. But then you come back and you say, but it's got such a heartfelt message. It's meaningful. Don't you care about the children? I'm like, yes, I care about the children.
Who are these children that keep getting brought up in music? It's like, but the children. The general children.
The children in general.
Just children. We got to save them.
Hey, if you're under 8 years old and you're listening to this episode, you start dancing right now and don't stop.
Okay. But I think what you said though about Don't Stop Dancing is just kind of true for this whole. It's all pretentious, and it's just a matter of like, how do you want to take it and how it comes off. Yeah. You know, is it heartfelt pretentious, like from a good place, but just not executed well, or is it just pretentious? You know, and I think that's the great question of this album. You know, because it kind of just teeters on that scale.
Yeah, it's how much are you willing to suspend that part of you that like cringes?
Yeah,
suspension of cringe, if you will.
Yeah, it's like going to a play, right? It's like going to a play, and there's a actor, a very committed actor, to his part, right? And to him, this part is so deep, so complex, and you watch him perform with all his vigor, and sometimes it's too much vigor, right? Sometimes it's too much dedication to the role, and you kind of see through it as kind of being a little bit phony. And then it's like, is it phony but still good, or is it phony but is it cringe? And I think that's basically this album, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a middling. It's one or the other.
And maybe that's okay, because there are a lot of people who loved this album.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, there's plenty of other music out there for you.
Well, let's take with our new metric.
All right.
Weathering. The song Weathering. Weathered.
Yeah.
Weathering with You. I was thinking of an anime. But Weathered. You have where do you put it on the scale?
Ooh. Oh, it's really close to that tipping point.
Yeah.
I think it's leaning positive,
Yeah.
but it's on that tipping point, man.
It's like right there, and it's so interesting. Oh man.
yeah.
It is we've listened to a decent amount of music personally and for this podcast, and I don't think we've quite run into something quite like Creed.
No.
And I think in a way that's what makes it special, because it's not something you can necessarily put a stamp on and say this is good or this is bad. It's very fluid.
Yeah, it is what it is. And there you kind of, if you're willing to put yourself in the right shoes, there is stuff you can take out of it.
Yeah.
To the point where I actually had like this big realization about myself through this music. Because with my sacrifice, like him talking about reconnecting with his old self, even though I think he kind of communicates that poorly.
Yeah.
When I got what he was trying to say, I was like, oh, like there's some of that in me too, because I was kind of getting into this phase where I was in my head and I kind of stopped believing in myself. And I remember I used to be on top of the world, right?
Yeah.
Like I had everything going for me. I had a job that I thought was super cool. I was like dating this girl that I thought was incredible. And like everyone was saying, Trent, you're awesome. You're doing all these great things. You are incredible. And then all of a sudden, when I lost all of that, like it was okay. I need to figure out how to rebuild. And once all the dust settled, I started feeling this emptiness in myself. Like, man, back then, I used to think I was incredible. Now I'm over here. I don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
I've lost so much that like I can't feel incredible anymore. And I remember what it feels like to feel like a god.
And you'll never feel like that again.
I'll never feel like that again. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And I needed to kind of reevaluate and retake my self-confidence.
Yeah.
And say like, hey, like that, you've learned a lot since you were that person, but you still have all those good things, and you need to relearn what you like about yourself, essentially.
Well, and that self-confidence, that's a day-to-day thing. It's like, I think we can idealize parts of our lives where we thought we had it all together, and it's kind of like this thin facade. Like, yes, it feels like you had it all together, but like it's all being held up on like toothpicks.
Yeah.
And you look back at it and you're like, because I do this a lot too. I look back and it was like, man, life then, I used to be a rock star. I used to be a king. I used to do this. I used to feel this way. And now I don't feel this way. Life isn't sexy anymore. That's how it feels sometimes. It's like, it's just the day to day. And, I'm not confident. But at the same time, it's a daily process that you grow into, right? And just because everything smells a little differently now, it doesn't have to be a bad smell, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like when we got COVID, I lost my smell, and my smell is starting to come back and things smell different. But it's like, do I either lament that I can't smell things the same way, or do I try to smell them in the new way that I understand them now?
Yeah. But anyway, the point is that song like helped me on an emotional journey where it's like, okay, I'm going to take things seriously. I'm going to start retaking control of my life and like reconnect with the person I used to be with the lessons I've learned.
Yeah.
And, even a poorly executed song still did that for me. And that's great.
Yeah. I think it does its job. So, I think he had some wisdom to tell.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about a dude who's in the throes of where he was. Like, I think Scott Stapp was like getting near to his rock bottom years, you know what I mean? And so there's some very interesting stuff that I think can come out of those rock bottom times, that aren't fully fleshed, but can mean a lot to people if they're looking at it like you're looking at it,
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the interesting part of some of this music.
And maybe that rock bottom kind of creates the sort of unintelligible and yet still having wisdom sense that there is.
Yeah.
Because I remember when you were at your rock bottom,
Yeah.
like you were hitting huge milestones and breaking points in yourself, and you were like, I just figured this out. And you would say it to me, and I'd be like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great job, buddy. You figured out so much, and I had no idea what you were saying.
I remember that. That was like last year, and I remember I was on the verge of like a psychotic break, if not in the midst of one. Like I don't remember in my entire life being that mentally unwell that I couldn't string together a thought that made me feel good. Like it was just this big black cloud in my head. And I remember when you had come over and we were sitting in the basement, and it was snowing, and we were playing Castle Crashers, and I had this like revelation about trees or something, and like how trees are like life. And I was just like, I think for like probably 30 minutes, I talked straight at you, just verbally vomiting what the meaning of moss is or something. And it's kooky talk. And that's how you are, that's how you are in the throes of your life going downhill, is you're mentally breaking. But there's like some decent things in that kooky talk, because that's like the last little bit of part of you just trying to claw out and say something decent.
All right. I've got a gamer analogy for you, okay?
Okay.
So, I'm outing myself right now as the biggest nerd alive, but in college, I played in Smash Bros tournaments, and I took it seriously, man.
Mm-hmm.
And something that a friend of mine told me, who he was like helping me get better, was like, yeah, sometimes as you get better, you'll feel like you're getting worse, because you're mixing your bad habits, or you're mixing your good habits with your old bad habits that you had. So as you start transitioning from a mess to a better place, you need to have like all these messy thoughts and like disambiguations in order to actually come to something meaningful and get to a better spot.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes 1,000% sense.
Yeah.
And I think in a way that's what this album is.
It's a messy exploration of a person.
Yeah, it really is.
Which, I've heard an interesting analysis of like Tommy Wiseau's The Room, where like everybody knows it's a bad piece of art.
Yeah.
But it actually says a lot. Not what Tommy Wiseau was trying to get across, but it says a lot about Tommy Wiseau himself
as a
person. And you can see his worldview and his ideas in ways that he never intended to communicate, but they are there, clear as day.
Yeah.
And I feel like the mess that's in here, the good and the bad, is all a reflection of who Scott Stapp is.
Yeah. Well, and I think at the end of the day, that's what I saw in this album was a story of like addiction and wanting recovery, and I think that's part of why this album spoke pretty well to me, and I had sympathy for Creed and Scott Stapp. It wasn't like, oh, bad band from 2000s, they sing weird, and it's just like this easy dunk instead of kind of, it's like Star Wars. It's like Star Wars Episode 1. It's like you can just dunk on this and say the same thing everyone else has been saying, or you can try to look at what this is for what it is and what this person was trying to create. Like, same thing. I know I'm drawing a lot of comparisons to Star Wars Episode 1, but they came out in the same year. But it's the same thing with like The Room, Star Wars Episode 1. you're more looking at the person, a reflection of the person creating it. Like Star Wars Episode 1 just was showing George Lucas's capacity to want to world build and create this very elaborate story, but him being surrounded by yes men and not having enough restraint and direction to make something that was really clear. And same thing with The Room. It's like there's this lack of restraint. There's this lack of being told no or having some guardrails to make a really good product. And that's kind of what I said at the start was if this had come out more now in these times and Scott Stapp actually had like a staff around him to help, maybe it wouldn't have been the way it came out. But it did come out and it's kind of raw and you got to kind of figure out what you want from it. But it all connects. It all makes sense. And I think this album makes sense not in the actual content but in the overarching themes. So
Yeah, and when you allow yourself to not get caught up in like, oh, this doesn't make sense as a piece of the whole. This lyric is not really what the song needs right now.
yeah.
When you take the vibes of the song, it's like, yeah, there's a lot that I'm taking from it. It just needs a little more work.
Yeah.
A little more.
You know what, guys? Sometimes it's not a bad idea to have guardrails around your creative genius. You know, that's what Trent is for me.
Yeah, I do the research and Joel does the funny.
He does all the work and I do the funny, and that's how it is.
Yep, we're a team.
Find yourself a Trent.
Find yourself a Trent. Ladies.
Next episode, speed dating. But it's just Trent and I.
It's just me and Joel.
We should do like The Bachelor.
The Bachelor with you and me?
Yeah.
The Bachelors?
The Bachelors. We come as a pair.
Oh, I think they're actually doing like a duo Bachelor thing right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
You just stole that idea?
No, I didn't really steal it. I guess it was just mixed up in there. That probably is where I got it from, but I was trying to be genuine about it. But
all right.
By the way,
no idea is original.
By the way,
yeah.
So you're on you've been like put on this group dating app. Do you know about that?
Oh, Ship?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know about that.
So I did some swiping.
Oh, you did some swiping for me. Thanks,
when I was
baby.
hanging out with your buddies.
Oh yeah.
I got about 6 picks. Maybe swiped right on like 2 of them.
Yeah.
I don't think you need a nurse in your life right now.
No nurses.
I think that's a little bit too much of a slippery slope.
Darn.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's tough.
I don't think the nurse lifestyle is going to vibe with yours.
So you were hanging with Quinn and Emily, I gather.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all coming together.
Yeah. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
If you find your future wife, I was a part of it.
You were a part. Thank you, Joel. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah. But anywho, I think we've pretty much said all there is to be said. I'm a big Creed fan.
Yeah.
I think it's cool to be a Creed fan. I think it is very cool to be a Creed fan.
I'm more of a Creed enjoyer.
That's fine. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I oscillate. I blow around. I'm a fan.
Whoa. No. I'm gonna pour my Creed in a wine cup and drink my Creed.
Creed.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, I was kind of not expecting this episode to be a more serious one, but here we are.
Yeah, I kind of saw that this was going to be a more serious one.
Oh, you did?
Cuz it didn't make sense to dunk on this, you know?
Yeah.
This wasn't like Proust. It wasn't this unanimous like this is terrible and let's just dunk on this.
But we also goofed on Sgt. Pepper's, which is good. We like that album.
We have variants. That's what we do.
Yeah. We're variety. You can't pin us down.
We just do whatever we feel like.
Yeah.
That's the point of having
especially Joel.
How many times do I have to just tell you guys? This is the point of having your own show, is that you can do whatever you want.
I'm really happy for you, Joel. You've achieved everything you want.
No media executive is going to tell me how to think.
Steven might try to rein you in a little bit, but we refuse the guardrails.
He can't. Guardrails are stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're there.
No, nobody wants guardrails. Art is never enhanced by guardrails.
Was there guardrails when Mona Lisa painted the Da Vinci Code?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Guardrails doesn't create good art.
Art creates good art.
So, well, that's all I got to say about Creed.
Yep. That's all I have to say about that. Goodbye.
I love you.
I don't.
Join us next week. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye-bye.